friendly. I don't want it to be chilly.
Oh, I know, that's right. I gotta do this. That's right.
Big sigh.
Well, because the system isn't working on our name. So I have to go back and then I have to fill it in. This.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's loud.
Yes, I know. Let's try to get this going.
Oh, yeah.
Push this button.
You're good at that.
You're so sweet to me.
I was being a smarty.
I know. That's why
Okay.
you're so sweet to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Alright, let's get rocking. Let's do this crazy thing.
11:01.
Ready?
Sure.
Hello friends, Bill Baker here, host of the Prairie Real Estate Show, found right here on 103.5 FM, The Sun, every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Hey, when I'm not on the radio, I'm working with folks just like you to help them buy and sell homes. I'm proud to say that my team, the Baker Realty Group, has been helping people buy and sell homes in the greater Sun Prairie area for over 10 years. Information about buying and selling a home is available on my website, thebakerrealtygroup.com, on Facebook by searching the Baker Realty Group, or by calling 608-575-6731. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the Sun Prairie Real Estate Show with Bill Baker and Laura Stanfield. Brought to you by the Baker Realty Group.
Welcome to the Sun Prairie Real Estate Show with your host, Bill Baker.
Hey, good morning everybody, and welcome to the Sun Prairie Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Bill Baker, and glad to be here. It's it's kind of a smoky, overcast kind of day, but I guess the fires out in the west are kind of messing with us today, so that's okay. We can deal with it. We're professionals. We know what to do. We also have construction going on here at the library where our studio is located, because we're part of the Sun Prairie Media Center family of stations, and glad to be here. But we've got construction going on outside the walls and windows, so if you hear drilling, tapping, knocking, blasting, that is what's going on. No
Scraping.
That's exactly right. But you're listening to 103.5 WLSP, The Sun, right here in beautiful Sun Prairie, and we're underwritten by those wonderful folks at the Bank of Sun Prairie, the Baker Realty Group, and of course, Wintrust Mortgage. So good morning to everybody, and wanted to let you know, remind you, love to tell you this show was created just for you. It was created to give you information, the education, the knowledge that you need to help you in the way of buying, selling, or investing in real estate. And believe me, it changes on a daily basis. So you need all the help you can get, because as a veteran of 19 years of real estate, and that doesn't even count my pre-years and as investing, it changes daily. And right now it is going through a storm, which and a rewrite basically on how things are going to work. And you're going to need the help moving forward. And to do that, part of that help, the lady that makes this show happen, makes the world rock, Miss Laura Stanfield from Wintrust Mortgage is here.
I make the whole world rock?
You make the world rock.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Good Lord, I had no idea. I don't know how I do that.
Well,
I don't do that, really.
Def Leppard.
Yeah. Do you want to get robbed?
See?
Yeah, right. Journey.
Journey is another one.
Yeah.
Did you tell me there's only one original Journey member left?
Well, if you believe what's on the Google, I'm not
yeah.
sure if that's true. But that's what I read, one original member. Although I think you got to be careful about like original when the band started and original to like what you and I are used to since we started listening to them.
Okay.
Still long-term members, but original only one,
Yeah.
supposedly.
Who's your favorite lead singer? Steve Perry. You had to whisper that.
Well, I was
you should
thinking.
see her face right now, folks, because she is just like glowing.
I love his voice. Yeah. Again, I don't think he's an overly attractive dude.
Oh, you don't?
Not really, but his voice is amazing. I love his voice. So anyway, I hesitated because he's not technically lead singer.
No,
Hasn't
he's
been for
not.
17 years.
He's
so.
not, but he
Coming
created
back.
that.
He did.
He created that
And
group
he's coming
and that
back.
sound.
He's recording music again.
Oh, he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
He is. But hey, today there's a few things I want to talk about today. And we're going to give you information, statistic, knowledge, and you should listen. And if you're just clicking into the show, and Janice Bedner, glad to see you. You're one of
Hi,
our
Janice.
regulars. Here's what I want you to know. Hang in there, because we're going to talk about some serious stuff. The title of the show today is Buy Property Now, and why it's important. And did you just go, me?
I did.
Well, it's true, and I'm going to
I
prove
know.
it. It's just, people ask me all the time, or they'll say, well, we're going to wait. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I just want to roll my eyes. I've rolled my eyes so many times I need to have them lubricated. Got to get an oil change
You
from
got to
just from my
retrieve them from the
eyeballs.
back of your head.
Oh my gosh. They're like, boom, 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 pounding on the head to get them back there and stuff. Well, we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about this thing about down payments. 5 times this past week, I've had people tell me I don't have 20% to put down on a house.
No. 5 times.
5 times. I'm like, oh my gosh. And
Whoa,
one
what
was
are we doing
exactly
wrong?
this morning. I had a meeting this morning at 8 o'clock, and I'm like, you don't need to do that.
But what are we doing wrong that people still think that? That is such old information.
I don't know.
I mean, old.
know.
For as long as I've been doing this. 26 years? I'm going on 27 years.
Wow.
20% down?
Ufta.
What?
Ufta oive.
Anyway. And all those things.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
So yeah, and so I want to talk about that, because right now what's happening with mortgages is we're seeing a downtick in the interest rates on mortgages, and nothing to jump up and down and all that stuff. Kind of a deep breath and a sigh, and we're waiting for the next thing. But it's going in a direction that we like, but that should not hold you back.
No.
And when we talk about down payments and all that, this lady sitting across from me in the Sun Prairie Real Estate Studios, which is actually Bank
Is
of
that
Sun
what
Prairie
this is?
Studios.
Oh, yeah, okay, let's
It's
be
the Bank
real.
of Sun Prairie
Yeah,
Studios.
okay.
She's going to tell you here in just a second, you don't need 20 down. You don't need 5 down. You may not need 3.5 down. You might be able to do it with nothing down. And let's talk about that. And then we're going to get to the stats, and I'm going to prove to you why you need to run out and buy a house today. Don't wait. If you get a speeding ticket, it won't matter. The money you're going to make up will cover that.
Maybe we need to talk about it in terms of locking in your home.
Yeah.
Like we talk about locking a rate.
Tilt your microphone down.
Oh, you're such a
Well, I can't.
thing about
I can hear the sound.
Hello.
You
So-
can't hear it?
No.
I can. It's a different sound.
What is?
When when you're talking and it's up here
Oh, that's true. But it wasn't up there.
and
You're
talking
exaggerating.
here. Well,
Okay, anywho. What were we
I'm
saying?
Bill.
So I know you are. I'm just a Bill. Anyway.
I'm only a Bill.
Showing our age.
So we're talking
we
about
talk about locking in rates,
Right.
but the reason why we say don't wait and don't for sure wait because of the rates, hey, that rhymes, is because home prices are going to continue to increase.
Absolutely.
So why don't you lock in your home
Right.
price
Right.
now?
Yes.
Because that's not going to change
Yeah.
down. It will probably continue to go up.
No, probably.
But rates, you can always, you've got your
Sure.
house,
Right.
you can lower the rate.
Yeah.
You can refinance to lower the rate.
Absolutely.
So lock in your home
Sure.
now. That's why you don't wait.
But here's where we were going. You kind of went off track. You fell off the railroad tracks.
Did
there.
I?
You went
You
off
got
track
me
a little
all like with this anyway.
bit.
Go
And
ahead.
it's only a bill.
Right.
So the thing
Yeah.
I want you to talk about is, and we can use Alex as a great example of
payment.
this. I mean, here's a guy who's been in the Navy 9 years.
In the Navy. That's the village people.
We're
Sorry.
never going to get through
Go
this
ahead.
show
No.
today, I tell you. So 9 years in the military, he's got veteran benefits sitting
Yeah.
there, and those benefits are pretty good, pretty
They are.
damn good.
Mhm.
And yet, in your review, in your process, with your intake of listening to what he wanted to do, and his partner that's helping with this,
Mhm.
you determined that the VA wasn't the choice selection is. And
not.
this happens with a lot of things.
Yeah.
I mean, there's WIDA,
Yeah.
there's HUD,
FHA.
FHA.
Yep.
You've got conventional, USDA.
Yep.
You've got all these programs, like you got first-time homebuyer programs.
Yep.
You've got all these laid out there, and if you don't know that, if your lender does not know that, you are going to miss out. If you got a cookie cutter thing that's got a rocket on it, it ain't going to work. You can't get this
Right.
on the internet, folks, because
Yeah.
you need to sit down with somebody, a lender like Laura Stanfield, Wintrust Mortgage, and I'm serious because she's sitting in the room with me. And
Is that the only reason? Just because I'm sitting here?
Yeah.
Just because I'm right in front of you?
well, because I don't mess around with I'm going to surround myself with the best.
Nice. Nice. Okay. Go ahead. Continue.
So the key is to have that advisor, have that person that's going to look at your entire package of what you're trying to do
Yeah.
and pull it together. It doesn't mean a big down payment
No.
is required.
No.
So talk about that a little bit. Talk about your intake and how that goes. And
Well-
why I keep telling people you don't need money to buy a house.
Well, you do need money.
Well,
I'm
I
not
mean,
going
down
to say you
payment.
don't. Down payment, no, not necessarily.
There you go. You don't need a down payment.
No. There is still skin in the game. Like you have to pay earnest money and
Oh yeah.
a year of insurance ahead of time and an appraisal, maybe. It depends on the situation, but you have to have some money. Closing costs, unless you can get a credit for that, those are things we can't avoid.
Sure.
They're just part of every transaction.
Right.
But yeah, so intake is really a matter of asking a lot of questions and being a good listener. And what's your plan for the property?
Uh-huh.
Are you doing it on your own? Do you have a cosigner? You know, like what's your income? All these things play into what the best program is for people. And I'm just wired to look for the lowest rate and the lowest payment because I assume that's what most people want. But it's never my decision. I just say, like, here's your options. Here's
Sure.
the differences.
Right.
But you hit on something that's really been very important for me in 27 years, and that's like constantly moving in a direction where I've got access to all the programs.
Right.
And then it's my job to know them well so that I can talk to people and say, okay, we've got them all. Here's what fits you best. Or maybe there's only one, but here's why. I never leave people hanging.
Sure.
And I hear that a lot. Sometimes people just don't qualify. Credit, whatever the deal is, debt ratio, who knows what. But I will always tell you, this is why. You don't qualify right now. If you work on XYZ, you will qualify.
Sure.
But then you got to do the work.
Right.
I'm telling you what I know will work, but you got to do it.
Right. Part of that big down payment may be paying off a car, paying off a
could be.
credit card, or
It
something
could be.
like that. Taking them, it still benefits you, but it's going to increase your your
buying power.
There you go.
Yeah, well, that's part of the thing, looking at it comprehensively, because maybe people do have some down payment, but maybe it's really not a lot to make a difference in their mortgage payment and therefore their affordability or their price range.
Right.
But maybe they could qualify for zero down, and then maybe they could take their savings and pay off a credit card or pay down an installment loan or something like that. And one, it makes them feel more comfortable with their
Sure.
payment. Two, it increases their affordability and price range.
Sure.
So I'm always looking for things like that. Like, you know what, you might want to take that money and use it on this instead.
Yeah.
But if you want to use it on this, here's the difference it might make in your payments and your price range.
Yeah, and I believe, not everybody's like what you just did. Not a lot of people take the time to look at that. You know, it's about filling out an application and seeing if you get approved. It's not about talking to them. And we have a client, which we can't use the name on this one, and that's okay. But she has a large down payment, and it's not going to help.
Yeah.
Because there's things we got to work on.
Right.
For
Yes.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate where she's coming from on this, but because it's a first-time home buyer, by the way, so it's going to be exciting to get her in her very first home. Can't wait, and all that stuff. But there are hoops we have to jump through on the lending side before we can make that happen.
There are. And I've heard people say this sometimes, like, you know, if they don't qualify, let's say. Well, why not? I've got a big down payment.
Yeah.
Well, I know that. But there's a whole lot more. It's not just about your down payment. It's about your credit score. It's about your income. Can we verify all your income that you're earning?
Sure.
Can we not? What is your debt ratio like? Do you have a really high interest rate?
What's a debt ratio?
So your debt to income ratio, I know sometimes we speak in a different language. Lenders take your monthly gross income before tax income, not net, and then we can use a percentage of that monthly gross income to help you qualify for your loan. And then in that number we have to take out your new house payment, what that's going to look like. We have to take out any loans that you have right now, so car loans, credit cards. Student loans are a big thing that comes up now. Big thing. And I've heard several people recently say, well, but they're going to be forgiven. Because some will, if you're in a certain line. Healthcare professional, for example, let's say.
That happens.
Some would be forgiven. So, okay, I get that. And I'm not telling you have to go into repayment and start paying something back that you're not planning on ever having to pay back.
Right.
However, you have to understand that lenders have to document things. So
and why do they have to document?
Oh, good.
Because of the underwriting.
Well, yeah, there's T's to cross and I's to dot, and you have to prove that you fit the loan program guidelines that are laid out there that we have to follow.
Right. So let's take this a step further real quick for folks. We got plenty of time on this. So when Wintrust Mortgage gets your application, they're looking at it. They're doing the underwriting on this. What they have to do is to set that up based upon Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac standards, because Fannie and Freddie are actually the ones that are going to back that loan. They're going to basically guarantee that loan. To say. And so Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae are...
Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. That's okay. Close.
Yeah, Fannie Mae.
Put them together.
Well, Fannie Mae's sounds better
than Freddie Mac.
Yeah. I know, but anyway.
So
they are the guaranteeing entities that oversee all the mortgages in the world, basically, or a majority of them.
I'd say the majority. Yeah.
And they're not federal programs.
No.
Get that? They're not federal programs, but who initiated them?
The government.
The federal government did.
Yeah.
So they kind of oversee them and what's going on. So when she says underwriting, and the process that they have to go through is they have hoops that they got to jump through and have it packaged in a way where Freddie or Fannie raise their hand and go, okay, you're clear to close.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. This came up too in a meeting I was in earlier. Somebody mentioned the term overlay, and a lot of people don't even know what that means.
Oh, there's a good one. Tell people what an overlay is.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I think my opinion is that you should work with a lender that doesn't mess around with a bunch of overlays, but most people don't know to ask that. Okay. So there are the loan program guidelines that Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, there's VA, there's USDA, there's FHA. Loan program guidelines are laid out. So minimum credit scores. Maximum debt to income ratios, time on job, like how we can factor income. All these things are laid out that we have to follow.
Right.
Where was I going with this?
I don't know. Talking about
Oh my
the
God.
standards and
Overlays is
Yeah,
where I was
overlays,
going
that's
with
right.
it. So some financials, so we have to, at a minimum, go by the program guidelines that are laid out. We have to check those boxes, cross those T's, dot those I's. Some banks' financials will add on, overlay the guidelines and add on additional
Oh,
requirements.
okay.
So I
Does
don't know.
Wintrust do that?
We do not. No.
So that gives you an advantage over other lenders that I
We
guess.
just, and it's not, we're not, we're just going by what's laid out there. We don't need to worry about adding on this layer, that layer,
What
that
would be
layer.
a layer that would be added on?
I have heard some say, like, if I haven't been on my job for 12 months or 2 years, I
Okay.
can't get a loan. That's not true.
Oh,
But the bank might say, well, we don't like it. Like, if you're new to your job, we might be able to document it with your employer, but we don't like that. We want you to be on your job for 6 months or a year or 2 years or whatever. Some banks do that, but the guidelines don't require that. They just require that we verify with the employer that you are either with a non-contingent employment
Uh-huh.
letter,
okay.
and the employer has to say, yes, they are a legit employee of ours. They start on X date. And then maybe later on we have to get a pay statement,
Uh-huh.
or maybe you need to provide a pay statement before you close. There's differences
Sure.
between, but anyway, that's an example of maybe an additional guideline put on top of.
So when there's an overlay, does that lender charge more? Is there an added cost?
No, you can't.
You can't?
No, you can't.
Okay, but they
No.
just do that anyway. What
Well-
would be the advantage of doing that? I mean, if you're meeting Fannie and Freddie guidelines, what's the difference?
Well, there's things called buybacks in my world. So let's say that the lender says, yep, you fit all these guidelines, let's go ahead and get you a loan, and you
Okay.
close. This happened to me one time in my career. And I kind of knew it, but like, how do you really know?
Uh-huh.
We did all the things, we verified the employment, the assets, all the stuff.
Right.
And they never made one payment on their mortgage.
Oh my gosh.
Not one.
So then there's a buyback.
There's a buyback. So if the borrower defaults on the loan that we approved,
Uh-huh.
that we got all the documentation for, checked all the boxes,
Yeah.
and they default on it within 6 months usually, it's on us.
So
And that
Wintrust will
costs
buy it back.
thousands of dollars for the lender.
Wow.
Thousands.
Wow.
Fannie and Freddie are not forgiving about that at all. They're
Yeah.
just going to go ahead and hit you with
Wow.
huge fine. Huge.
Wow.
So there is some liability on lenders. Yes,
Uh-huh.
it fits
Okay.
their, but they might feel more comfortable going, okay, but we have to really do whatever we can to prevent any potential buyback because it's a huge financial loss.
Mhm.
So anyway, that's
So
why.
is an overlay like with FHA about inspections for safety items and stuff?
No,
like
that's
where-
just part of the program.
That's just part of the program?
Yep.
Okay.
Every lender is going to have to follow that. There's a mini inspection built into government loan appraisals, VA, USDA, FHA.
Okay.
So
Okay.
little things though,
Right.
usually little things like
Sure.
hand railings on flights of stairs, CO and smoke detectors. The biggest thing that comes up is chipping, peeling paint.
Yeah.
It can be fixed, but a seller doesn't wanna,
No.
let's be honest.
No.
I wouldn't either. I get it.
I've taken care of that. Being a buyer agent, I made that disappear. How did we make it disappear? Is that the buyer said,
Yeah.
I will come in, I will scrape it and paint it for you.
Yeah, with the seller's permission,
seller's
you
permission.
could do that.
And
Yeah,
the seller went, absolutely. You're buying a house
you're
anyway.
doing it, I'm not.
Right.
The
And-
worst case, the buyer's improving your property,
Right, exactly.
right? So,
exactly.
but then there's liability, and I don't know where
Well,
that comes
I
into
don't-
play, but
right.
that's
It's
a
just
whole other issue.
All we had to do is get the it was white paint, thank God, and so it worked out really well.
And it wasn't like
Blended.
60 below.
No, exactly.
That's a whole different
Well, that's
thing, too.
another thing too. You
Yeah.
can't repair exterior peeling paint in minus 60
No, you
or
can't.
minus 10.
I'm told Sherwin-Williams has a special cold weather paint.
Yeah.
I encountered this one time where like they had to, so they found this paint. That's how I found out about it. And then they put like heat lamps on the siding
Oh, yeah.
to warm it up so that they could do it.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, wow, that's dedication right there.
A lot of times
They
they'll
got it done.
encapsulate an area.
Yeah.
And they put heaters on, they warm up the entire area,
There you go.
they paint that,
That's
they let it
what they
dry,
did.
and then they move to the next one.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. But
Yeah.
So folks, what you just heard is a more in-depth description of mortgages, about what goes on. And I wanted to talk about that because this fallacy that you've got to have a large down payment to buy a home, and it's definitely, absolutely, positively not true. Now, one of the comments I got this morning was, what happens if 2008 happens again? And my response to that, and Laura can correct me on this, I said it will not happen because safeguards have been put into place to make sure that doesn't happen.
Oh, they're asking because in their minds they're like, oh, if you're
The
not
market
putting money
crashed.
down, then that's a problem. Well, I mean, yeah, because you could put zero down if you're a veteran. There's
Yeah.
no down payment required.
Or USDA.
USDA, no down payment. You could be a first-time home buyer and not put any money down. There's a
Right.
program for that. Otherwise, the minimum is 3%.
3%.
That's not bad. But yeah, let's say 2008 happens again,
Yeah.
and then values decline though.
Right.
That was the problem, that people weren't, and honestly what was happening back then too is that a lot of people were doing ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages, and they were doing interest only.
Right.
So they weren't reducing their principal at all, and then their home lost value.
And non-verifiable loans.
And a whole lots of shady stuff.
Yeah.
Not most of us, but there were some bad characters, some brokers that were doing terrible things.
Right.
If you can fog a mirror, you can get a loan, kind of thing. Like, it doesn't matter. It was called stated income and stated assets. So I could walk in and say, I'm looking for a mortgage. I make $1 million a year. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Good enough.
There you go.
Yeah. And I got $1 million in the bank too, but I don't want to use it. You
No.
know, I want a zero down loan. Cool. If you say you got it, you got it. How was that ever a thing? I don't know.
I don't know.
But
it was.
it was a thing, and that's not possible anymore. There's something called QM. We have to be sure that it's a qualified mortgage, and meaning it is following the guidelines that are laid out. There are documentation requirements. We can't just go by what you say. You say you make X amount, I need
Right.
your pay statements, I need
Sure.
your W-2s, your tax returns.
Well, what if you're self-employed?
Tax returns.
I don't have to. We have to file taxes?
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you're an alien? I'm seriously, if someone from...
A resident alien, are you saying?
Yeah,
or
from-
like an
I
alien?
just moved in from... I'm from Canada. I'm from
Oh.
Europe or something like that.
There's loans for that too.
Okay, but they don't have tax returns.
Yeah. Well, there's loans for that, but you're not. It's not going to fit conforming conventional guidelines.
Right,
So
I
you're going to
understand.
need a portfolio type loan
Yeah.
because it's a kind of a different
Yeah.
scenario, but it's possible.
Sure. So now we've talked about the mortgages. We've talked about
Down payment.
Down payment, that you don't need that down payment. And let me talk a little bit and kind of lead you a little bit into why I wanted to bring this subject up. As you heard me say earlier, I convinced my son, my youngest son, to buy a house. And the focus on him buying a house was to buy a duplex. I wanted him to have a duplex. And the reason is that the other side of the property would be an income producing property for him. And then so he could start his wealth building. And believe me, owning real estate is a wealth building tool. And it's probably the best wealth building tool that you have. And it's not about being rich. It's about building your value that you have. And I don't know how to describe it. Some
Investing in a fixed asset that
but
over time, even with 2008, real estate has been a solid, consistent investment.
Yeah. What the thing is I'm trying to get to is some people do not like the thing of the idea of somebody being rich. They're criticized. Even in our society, tax the rich, give them more taxes. You know, it's just not a good thing, and that's what people say. It's actually the opposite. You want more rich people because more rich people give money away. But
if they give money away,
they do.
I think people are just saying they need to be taxed like everybody else is.
Do.
They shouldn't be given breaks because they're rich.
Well, they should be. Everybody should have a flat tax anyway.
Yeah.
That's why I won't never be a congressman, because I'll say 10% flat tax for everybody.
Well,
and nobody.
I don't know why you'd want to run for office.
I don't.
Anyway.
Not that.
Arrows in your back.
So I was having this so I convinced Alex to do this, and he did. So they close in what, a week, 2 weeks?
31st.
July.
Where are we at? Oh yeah, a week.
Oh, next
a
week.
week.
Wow. Sweet.
Yeah,
Get
next
the
Wednesday.
booze out. Champagne, pop that cork.
Welcome to Wisconsin.
Woo!
That's how we do things
all
here.
right. Where are
Yeah.
they closing?
Dane County. Is that what you want to know?
Yeah, Dane County Dane County, not Sun
Well, I
Prairie.
think Jean chose it.
Oh, she did? Okay,
I
that's
think.
cool.
I
All right.
think. I'm not sure about that,
Yeah.
but we're her and the seller anyway.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's a benefit. Now, I had a meeting this morning, and the whole subject came up about real estate, and the response was, well, we're just going to wait. We've got a down payment, but we're just going to wait. It's just because the market's going to crash. That was the comment.
Oh, come on, people.
And I said,
Wow.
I don't know where you're getting your information, but the market is not going to crash. I said, and I can prove it to you. The market might adjust, and it is, but it's not going to crash. And it's not going to adjust significantly in the way of a price reduction the way you think it's going to crash.
No.
Or crash, or go down. So I want to talk about that a little bit. And
Can we do a mini Econ 101? I feel like people
wanna?
don't understand.
Okay.
While there is demand
Yeah.
and a lack of supply,
Yeah.
it stands to reason, does it not,
Yes.
that property values would continue
Yes.
to increase?
So there are two columns. If you look at what's called supply and demand, all right, and when demand is high, supply is lower than demand,
Yep.
prices are up.
Look what's happened with building
Right.
materials
Right.
and food and everything that came out of
Well, that's
COVID. We've
different.
all lived it.
Yeah, well, that's the consumer price. So that's a little different. So, but then
Well,
the other thing would
theory.
be if you've got high supply with limited demand, price is low.
Right.
And so right now, we're in a high demand and low inventory or supply. And that's why prices keep jumping up a little bit
And that's
more.
why there won't be a bubble bursting, because there's,
Correct.
even if people go south on their mortgage, let's
Correct.
say, foreclosure,
Correct.
it's okay. You can sell it because you're
Correct.
sitting on a lot of equity, a lot of money,
Yep.
and there's a bunch of buyers
Yeah.
that have been waiting in the wings for
Yeah.
your home.
Yeah, exactly right. In fact, let's see. As of right now, July over June or July numbers so far are 8% higher than July or June. I mean, July's numbers are 8% higher than June's.
Okay.
So I mean, they gained equity in people that bought last month already have gained equity. But let me go back to this. All right. So let me tell you what's happening in the market, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. So right now there are 48 houses available for sale. Of the 48, 15 are new construction with an average price of $574,900. Only 6 of those are actually available. The others are in some semblance
Stage.
of construction, and maybe, or it's just a picture, a wannabe, could be. And that normally takes about 90 to 120 days, maybe a little bit longer, but I think the guys are getting it down pretty good, and time is shrinking in that. We have 34 existing homes that are out there with an average value of $484,911. The days on market to sell your home right now is up 5 days over 2023 last year. And price is, you ready? Sit back, tighten that seatbelt. The price, as of right now, today, this morning, before we got here, is up 9% over last July, same time frame, which is absolutely absurd.
Absurd. Is that a new word?
I don't know what I'm trying to say.
ABZURD.
Yeah, it's a
Absurd.
billism. I just made it up.
Billism.
And then I thought, man, that's crazy. 9%. I had to go back and look at 2021. 21% increase.
Wow.
Which averages 9% per year. So here's the thing: is if you bought a house in 2021 in July, right? Okay, and your price was $378,000. Your price now is $482,000. You would have made $103,000.
Holy cow.
$103,000. So 21, 22, 23, 24. 3 years, you made that much money. So if you're saying to yourself, well, I'm going to wait until the prices come down. They ain't coming down. And the reason I'm telling you to go buy today is because I want you to get that 9%. I want you to get that 6%, that 5%, that 10%, whatever it's going to be.
Even if it's 3 to 5%.
Yes,
Come on,
that's
like
what I'm
you're
saying.
still making money on your investment.
As you sleep.
Right.
You're
just
making money
living
while
in
you
it.
sleep. Yeah,
Yep.
you're putting your head down on the best asset in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had this conversation, and I said, let's look at a $400,000 home. And this person wants to buy a duplex. And you're going to be getting a phone call from her later, by the way, to talk about this. Because she was just shaking her head the whole time. No way, no way, no way.
About what?
About
No
buying
way.
with a smaller down payment.
Okay.
And I said, let's say you have a $400,000 home. You buy it today. Today you spend $400,000. Well, based upon my numbers in July, 9% increase if it happens again next year or the next 12 months, that property's value is now $432,000, right? 8 times 4? Well, 9 times. So it'll be 9 times 36. It'll be 436.
Mm-hmm.
$436,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you just lost $36,000. And you gained in that equity that you've already paid down on that if you had already owned it. So it cost you money to not buy that house. It cost you
actually does.
$36,000.
Yeah.
Now it could be 5%. We could use that $20,000.
I would even just use 5%.
5%.
Just to be conservative. Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, right.
Holy cow.
But I'm using stats here based upon the last 3 years. And if we know that it's averaging a 9% increase, it's probably going to happen again. And here's why I'm saying that and why I'm confident about this. Because she made a comment that out east, New York prices are crashing. That's not true. They're adjusting, but they're not crashing on that.
People get so dramatic about things.
You
Wow.
watch West Coast prices. Florida's prices are soft. They're softening.
Yeah.
Originally, we were going
West
to have
Coast
Sherry
too.
St. Marie
That's what I thought.
on the show today,
Yeah.
but she's standing in line at Delta trying to get home
Oh,
to
no.
Florida
Oh, no.
from Madison.
Delta's the worst right now, evidently.
But they
They can't
stuck.
catch up.
I told her to go to Allegiant in Rockford, take the direct flight down to Punta Gorda, and then drive home.
Mm-hmm.
Rent a car.
Should probably get there quicker.
Well, I know, exactly. So, and I've lost my...
So the only way that this would be a situation, let's say, where property values are not going to continue to increase, we're going to switch from a seller's market to a buyer's market, is if
everybody sells their house at the same
everybody
time.
sells their house, and or there's a zillion new construction coming and to fit the demand, and there's so much demand out there, there's not going to be an end to this story for years.
Sun Prairie needs to sell or needs to build, have completed, sold 200 houses a year. Last year was 93, I believe.
Okay, well there you go. Think about that that number right there. There's not going to be a bubble. There's not going to be a crash. It doesn't even make sense.
Exactly. So, and here's the other thing. Now, and this is why you want to listen to our show, or when you talk to us. If you have questions after the show, call us or reach out to us. You'll see us at Buck and Honey's or Beans and Creamer. Come up and talk to us about it. There's no stupid questions, and we'll answer questions even if you don't utilize our expertise on this. I'm here to help you, and I know Laura is, to help you in the way of buying, selling, or investing in real estate. That's the purpose of the show. It's not about sales. But here's what I know it's going to happen. It's coming, and I can feel it. Because what we're seeing is interest rates go down a little tick at a time, then they go back up. But they're now sub 7. We're about 7.77 or 6.75.
6.875 ish.
Okay.
Today is a little weird because what was it? Home sales overall supposedly were down in June.
Not ours.
This is a national number, right? And that's what mortgage-backed bonds and therefore interest rates are tied to.
Remember, ours was not.
Yeah, it is. What's the saying?
It's
How many times have we said it?
Local, local, local.
Real estate is local. You can't listen to national headlines and think it applies to Sun Prairie or Dane County or wherever you are.
Madison is different than Sun Prairie.
Yeah.
Verona is different than Sun Prairie. Middleton is different than Sun Prairie.
DeForest, Oregon, all these
Exactly.
are different. Yeah.
And then you got to get hyper local inside your city. It could be a neighborhood in your city.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a realtor that you're working with that knows that, then don't use that realtor. I'm not being mean. I'm just trying to give you some guidelines on this. But here's what I wanted to say about those interest rates. What I know is going to happen, because it's just logical, is those rates tick down. As soon as it hits 6, it's going to be around 6.
Ooh.
Our demand is going to explode
Right.
even worse than it is now.
Buyers that left are going to come back in. Buyers that were
Gross.
not even in the market
Gross.
are going to come in. Yeah, I mean, and then people will be talking about refinancing too.
Right,
So
exactly.
it's just going to be crazy
Right.
busy, and that'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great, actually.
Now, it could be December. It could be the first of the year of 2025, because we're going through an election phase.
Yes, we are.
And after every election, nice things happen.
Well, usually in an election year, we
Yeah.
see rates go down.
Right.
Usually.
Right.
The Fed is probably going to lower the funds
Yeah.
rate one time before the end of this year.
They're leaning towards that.
They're leaning toward that.
Right.
The inflation number is going in the direction they think it
Right.
should be going in. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why is this a big deal, and why are we talking about it? Because if you own a house now, you get to ride that wave, and it's going to be a nice wave, because again, demand, as we're talking about basic macroeconomics, if demand is high and supply is low, then price is going to increase, and that means the value of your property increases.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're saying to yourself, well, I'm going to hold on to it forever. Yeah, okay, well, but you still have a lot of power in the property that you have. You have equity.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things you can do with that equity. You could take a little out and go buy another one.
You could.
You could pay off a major bill or something like that.
You could maybe rent your current home
There you go.
and become an investor
Bingo.
and go buy another one.
You act like we know each other or something. You know?
Well, why not?
And so that's the excitement and why this is just so important.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're even have a little bit of thought about buying a house or selling a house, you gotta get out there and start talking.
Mm-hmm.
And you've heard it. I can prove this to you, and I'm willing to meet with you and chat with you about this and show you. It's still your decision. You're in full control. It's all about you. So how we do that is just going to be interesting. Then we got to go find the property. This person's like, well, I'm looking for a duplex. I said, let me tell you, I need to find
They're
that
hard.
right. I need to find a duplex before it hits the market.
Oof.
Yeah. Alex succeeded because it wasn't on the MLS. Uh-huh.
I don't remember how they found it.
It's in a neighborhood over by where they live.
Ah.
Oh.
It does take that though, especially
It
a duplex,
does.
because there's a lot of people seeing the opportunity in there
Mhm.
and looking for a good
Sure.
investment.
Right.
Yeah.
So this person I was talking to this morning was talking about she has this group of friends that they own a bunch of duplexes.
Oh, really?
And I said, well, buy one. And she said, what are you talking about? I said, ask them if you can buy one. Well, why would they sell me one? I don't know, but just ask them.
Maybe they don't want to be landlords anymore.
Right.
Maybe they want to simplify. Who knows?
Right.
All
Or
kinds of.
if they're good friends of yours, they may want to help you.
Maybe.
I said, so ask them to say, I'd love to buy one of your duplexes, and would you finance it for me? She goes, they're not going to do that. I said, maybe. You don't know. You got to ask them.
Well, right. Maybe.
There's just so many things we can do.
Yeah.
So I just want to get into that. I mean, so right now, just to recap this a little bit, the reason why it's a great time to buy and why you should buy now is because the market here in the city of Sun Prairie is prime for this. And your return is going to be very stable and significant. 5.5. It could be 9 again. The last 3 years it's been 9%. So you already saw this, that 20% higher than 2021. And we're only in July. We know those rates are dropping. And as the rates drop, demand will go up. Because how many of you out there have a house that you'd love to sell, but you've got this mindset that I'm not going to pay higher than the 3% that I have currently, or 2.5%. Well, you might as well get that out of your head because it's gone.
It's all about your motivation,
Yeah.
right? So if you're not happy in your current home,
Right.
is it worth it?
No.
But what I've been hearing lately often, condo owners in particular are getting frustrated, and not all,
Why are
but
they getting frustrated?
I don't. It depends on the association. So some associations are not managed well,
Oh, that's true.
and so if things go wrong
Uh-huh.
and you don't see any end in sight or improvement,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm hearing people say, "I want out. I don't want it." And they're not all the same, but just some are not managed well. And then another one, the condo fee just keeps increasing, where they are. And they're like, well, good Lord, between the taxes and the condo fee, I feel like I'd rather just own a single family anyway. But these are people who are at 2,875,
Yeah.
in the 3 range, let's say, but their motivation is different. They're not happy where they are.
Yeah.
So are you really going to let a rate determine where you're comfortable, where
Yes,
you live,
they
where
are.
you... That doesn't make sense to me. It can always be refinanced down. But here's the thing. Do we think we'll ever see 2 or 3% again? No. And I don't think we should. I think that caused a whole host of problems, but it is what it is. So no, I don't think you'll ever have that kind of a rate again. But if you're in the 5% range, maybe that's a good rate. Anything between
6%.
4 and 7.
I'm going to tell you right now that even where we are right now,
It's not bad.
it's a good rate. It
It's
really.
not
Mike
bad.
Collins is watching. Nate, looks like I'm chatting you both on Friday. Oh, really? Okay.
Nate, like
Yeah.
Nathan from the...
Yep.
Hey, Nathan,
swim-
how are you?
Our swimmer dude.
I love Nathan. So another thing that I was going to say, because Alex made me think of it, and I don't know if that's really what's going on or was going on, but I feel like a lot of people might be like, that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I'd like to own a duplex.
Sure.
I'd like to become an investor. I'd like to start
Yeah.
building wealth that way.
Uh-huh.
But it's overwhelming, daunting, like I don't know how to be a landlord. I don't know how to choose my renter. I don't know what all this means. Alex has an advantage because he has you and Jean.
Right.
And you have a wealth of knowledge about real estate and investing and all that. So you have his back. But what about people who don't have resources like that directly in their lives? It just made me think, I know there are resources out there where you can learn. You can do landlord education.
Oh, yeah.
So like if you thought you might want to buy a duplex, but I don't know, it sounds like a lot.
Right.
I know WIDA in particular, if you go on the WIDA website,
Sure.
they have an online course for landlords just to like educate yourselves about what it might mean, what you might need to know. So anyway, if there's anybody out there thinking I'd really like to do that, but it all seems overwhelming to me, start educating yourself. Don't talk yourself out of it.
No, don't do that. I mean, it's just it takes time. And Alex, being my son and that, it's hard for him to listen. But
I get that.
But
Yeah.
I was the same way.
I was
mean,
like that
tell
too,
you.
I think, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we all were.
Well, let me give you an example. And we got about 15 minutes left in the show. So we're talking about this condo or this duplex that he's buying. And so he's got Charlie coming in to do the painting. He's got Pat Ross doing some electrical work before.
Well, look at that. All the Lions have him covered.
Oh, yeah, I tell you. Charlie Kuntz. I love Charlie Kuntz as a painter. And so then I also want him to go to Bisbee's and get carpeting. Let's carpet that unit.
Yeah.
So what I said to him was this. Now, on the other side, there is somebody living there. They've been living there for a long time.
I know, and I don't like what you said. But I get why you said it. I just don't like it.
Do you remember what the rent is? Is it $900 or $1,100?
I don't remember. Sorry.
It's like $900 or $1,100.
It's lower than market, probably.
So what I said and here's the thing about being a landlord is sometimes you have to have tough skin. It doesn't mean you have to be mean or hateful or anything like that. But what it means, I said to Alex was this: why don't you put an ad out online somewhere and say that you have a half duplex for $1,800 or $2,000 a month? And I said, if you get that, then you still stay at where you're living right now. I said, and then because the other person has a 30-day lease, a month that's called, then you give them notice. They can brace their, and I mean, you could say, I'll paint it, I'll carpet it, and stuff like that, and get it to.
Well, you'd have to, I think, if you're going to ask that much, it needs to be updated and improved, right?
You're so gullible. You don't have to do anything.
If you're talking about 2,000, 1,800 to 2,000,
oh, they're waiting
really?
for that. Oh,
you think they want?
There are people paying more than that for an apartment.
Well, I know that, but is it new?
And that's not heyday.
Is it new and updated
Well,
and clean?
No, these are no.
Really?
No. Yeah.
I would never pay that much for something that's icky and outdated.
Well, it's not icky. I didn't say it was icky.
Okay.
But here's the thing: so I said to him, "You now have a chance to make an improvement on that other side." He goes, "But Dad, the guy's been loyal and he's always paid his rent and."
I'm with you, Alex.
And
yeah.
But he doesn't know that for a fact.
Well, he's hearing that from the current
Exactly.
seller. Yeah.
And
but
so,
he can figure it out on his own. But I get what you're saying. It is your investment.
Yeah.
So you get to do what you want with it.
What would you do with an extra $900?
I know, but
Per
I'm
month.
with Alex. I wouldn't feel good about.
Month.
I know.
Does he per month?
You did a couple times.
Yeah. Show me the money. Like Nate says, show me the money.
Maybe is that what Nate said?
Yeah.
Gradually, maybe. Like I wouldn't just say, "Hey, Mr. $900 a month. Guess what? I'm gonna double that effective 30 days from now, or
It's
you
happening.
can leave."
It's happening.
I know it's happening, but I wouldn't do things that way.
So, and people are going, "Bill, you're an a-hole."
Quit being a jerk.
I'm not being a jerk. It's your business.
I know.
It's your income.
It's capitalism.
Capitalism is a good thing. It's made America
Wait,
what it is.
does capitalism equal greed?
No.
You sure?
Yes.
In a lot of cases.
And if it's greed, then we shouldn't even be in the United States. Ooh. You got to watch the series Franklin.
Oh.
Great thing.
Netflix?
Michael Douglas. Oh, yeah, great.
Really?
Great thing.
Michael Douglas. Okay.
Yeah, that was great.
I'll watch it.
So you get the idea of what I'm saying here is that there's so many opportunities out there to do this.
There are.
And
Well, you have to have somebody, though, that knows how to find them. Finding a home these days is not an easy thing regardless, but if
No.
you're looking for an investment opportunity like a 2-unit, 4-unit, then yeah, I think you do have to have somebody really actively looking for you and reaching out to.
Yeah.
Because if it's on the market, you know that a lot of people are coming in along with you,
Yep.
and the odds of you getting it go down. But if you can get it before it hits the market, then you've got a chance.
And I'm going to say this to you also is that not every lender and not every realtor knows exactly what we were talking about. You'll look them in the eye and it'll be like a deer caught in headlights. And it's not. I'm not being mean or cruel or anything. It's just that they're not in it that deep to really understand it.
Something that somebody said to me earlier today, and it kind of touches on something that you said earlier, and it's about caring. Like, we can do our jobs and we can do it well, but I care about the people that I work with too, and I listen to them. So I have a first-time home buyer, and she said to me, I'm like, we got to get your insurance taken care of. Like, where are you at with it? What's going on? I'm kind of getting overwhelmed. And I'm like, okay, I get it.
I get
it's
that.
a lot.
Yeah.
So why don't I see if I can reach out and get one for you so that you have, a couple to, because insurance really is all over the place these days. Big swings, yeah.
I think some of them want a new building or something.
It's crazy. I mean, they're all going up, but there's huge swings in premiums, and it's like, whoa, really? So anyway, I was talking with an agent who's a friend of mine who sent me a quote, and I said, I'm just asking, like, yours is this and this one is that, and can you help me so that I can help translate, basically help her understand this? And he said, wow, you do know that most lenders do not get involved in this. You do know that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, maybe, but I heard my client say she's overwhelmed and we have to get this done. It's part of her loan approval. So if she's overwhelmed and I can reach out and I can help her a little bit, I'm willing to do that. But that was kind of when he said that, I was like, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But that's how I do things.
That's the way you roll.
That's how I want to do
Insurance
things.
held up a closing for me recently. That's Mike Collins.
Oh.
So yeah, I get it, Mike, and you're exactly right. I've heard the exact same thing.
It's a part of your loan approval. If the lender can't prove that your loan is insured properly,
Sure.
and as of closing day, you're not closing.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree. Hey, a couple of things here. We got about 7 minutes to go in the show. Wanted to let you know that there were 12 price reductions in the last 7 days in Sun Prairie. That's for single family and condo. 3 of those are condos. Some of the price changes are $29,000, $25,000, $50,000, $40,000, $16,000, $550,000, $25,000, $515,000, and $10,000. And so I know some of you listening out there are going to say, "Well, see, the market's crashing." No, it's not.
It's correcting.
It's correcting. And what's happened out there, and I'm gonna, if I'll get some arrows on my back, for sure, is that they're not being priced correctly. They're pricing houses for a maybe. You're still looking for that competitive bidding situation, which we know is running around 35% right now. And so I think it was 38 last week.
Competing offers?
Competing offers. So not all
that
houses.
That number is dropping though.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
That's
and so,
good though.
Well, it is. That's
for
true.
buyers.
So, but you do have, it's that Mac Daddy house. When I say Mac Daddy, I'm talking about that perfect house. That's going to get the competitive offers. And this is going to go back to the point where price it right, stage it correctly, make it look, put some makeup on that pig.
Clean it out, clean it up.
Yep. And get
Curb
it.
appeal matters.
Curb appeal is huge.
Yep.
I have a listing I'm taking in Columbus right now, and I can't remember what we're pricing it for. $369, I believe it is.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. And but we just signed a listing paper. It's not going live till August 15th because we got.
Do you have a buyer that might work well for?
Maybe. Do you?
Anyway. Offline.
Offline. We'll talk about that. So I just want to let you know that price reductions are happening. Don't panic on it. Don't panic on it.
Why did one of them go up by $5,000?
Because they just wanted to.
That's unusual.
I know, right? It's only been on the market 5 days. Now these other houses like Black Wolf Trail, 164 days. The square footage probably $237 a square foot. And I'm probably one of the only realtors that actually tracks square footage. Price per square foot.
That matters. If you watch HGTV, you should know it matters. Is this new construction? Is that why it's 164 days?
No, this is existing.
Why?
These are existing homes at price reduction. So
whoa.
I know. So anyway, price reductions are happening. Actives are not doing too bad, except days on market is going to go up right now. And,
but I feel like this sheet used to be a lot smaller. There's more.
There's more.
There's more listings.
There are more
listings. That's good.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. And
that's what we want.
Oh yeah, and we'll be right now. We're at 36 listings. Last year, month end was 39, so we're going to be up over last year again. So, which is kind of cool, and we're going to definitely beat solds for last year. So, but actives are in here, and there are some buys. We talked about this earlier in a previous show. There are opportunities, especially when you get into the 500,000 and up price range on this. But even at 400,000, 450, when you've got 12 houses for sale in a price range 400 to 449, and you only sell 7.5 of those a year or a month. I mean,
how do you sell a half a house?
Yeah, I know.
It's a duplex.
Yeah, so let's make it 8. So
okay.
So if you're only going to sell 8 a month, how do you make your house one of those?
Yeah.
How do you make one of those houses the next buy? How do you get the next accepted offer? We already told you. Price it correctly, stage it correctly, clean it, make it look good, put lipstick on that pig.
It's not really.
Yeah, you got to dress her up. You got to.
I would back that up and say start asking questions.
Yeah.
Talk to a professional realtor who knows what they're doing and can advise you well, and then ask, what do I need to do? Can you come take a look at my house? Tell me what I need to do. I'm thinking I'm going to get it on the market.
Yeah.
Big slowdown in home price appreciation. Yeah. I saw 3%.
Yeah, economists are coming out, and I pulled this article just because we only got a couple minutes here. But a in one of our trade rags called Inman, it came out, it says, in the markets and economy section, economists predict big slowdown in home price appreciation. As for sale listings continue to surge, many would-be home buyers are still having trouble finding properties that they can afford. Prices are already coming down in some markets. Florida is a great buy right now.
The coast.
The coast.
So keep that
especially.
in mind. If they say
Yep.
3%, they're averaging Midwest
Yeah.
to the coast. So it doesn't mean that what happens in
No.
Florida and California is going on here.
Exactly. Realtor.com data shows active for sale listings were up 37% in June. That's a good thing.
That's what we want.
That's exactly what we want. But it's all super local. So when you hear comments like this, you got to go back and you got to stick with us and listen to what we're saying to you, so we can give you the stats and information for here. Sun Prairie, you've been fantastic. We really appreciate you listening to us. We hopefully we've helped one or two of you out there. Mike Collins, my buddy, I hope that I've been informative, and I think you just sold your house, so congrats on that. But the whole idea here for us is to help you any way we can in the way of buying, selling, or investing in real estate. And if we're out somewhere and you see us, would you please come over, say hi, tell us that you like or hate the show, and or tell us what we can do, what subjects you would like to hear on one of our shows. And so from Laura, I want to say thank you.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of fun doing this, and we've started our 9th year. Don't know how much longer it's going to go, but we've put out a lot of information, and Sun Prairie, we really hope that you've enjoyed it. So until next time, we'll see you right back here on the radio. Bye, Sun Prairie.
Bye, Sun Prairie.
Still on Facebook. Mike Collins. Price adjustment.